Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 32, Why Your One-on-One Clients Need Curriculum Design. I'm so excited about this. This is actually, as we tend to do, because we have lots of things to say, a two-part series. So we're going to be talking about curriculum design and this beautiful body of work and how it improves your work with your one-on-one clients. So whether you are an educator or a coach, or whatever you're doing. And then in our next episode, episode 33, we're going to take it from a different perspective. So stay tuned for that. Let's jump right in. Anne, hi, first of all. And what's in process? What's in progress for you today?
Ooh, well, I would say that this is the first Christmas time and or winter holiday time, no matter what you celebrate, but that I've not had a brick and mortar business, and it feels amazing. I am thrilled to be onto a new business here, the Embodied Business Institute, and yeah, I think it just teaches me a lot about how you don't even, particularly when you grow into something for a long time, you don't even realize the coat that you're wearing. I think people talk about, the frog in the boiling water, but then, of course that myth it's like been debunked about the frog in the boiling water. They don't stay in the boiling water. They do jump out before it boils. I think for me, the big lesson in what's in progress is this learning of when to let go and when to move forward.
Nice. I think for me, in a kind of big scale way, it's just more of like more clarity around when I'm making decisions that are going to get me in trouble later. Like, I know you and I were in a discussion about doing another training, and you were like, I'm ready if you're ready. I'm like, I am not. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I love you for being willing and saying yes, because I think that's something we have in common. We're both yes people. And I'm really learning, like, before I'm even into the experience, I have enough wisdom and forethought to say, this is a choice that if I say yes to, it's going to get me into an experience that I absolutely do not want to be in. So I'm appreciating, I think, just a little bit more wisdom and foresight around, particularly around not being overcommitted.
Yeah. When you sent me your decision, I felt like,
you were like, again, I'm so glad you said that.
like a cloak was just dropped to the floor, like a weighted velvet, beautiful covered cloak that I wanted to wear, that I wanted to put on, but there was a heaviness to it. And I would love to just kind of extend that progress and what's in progress, because I get really curious about why it was still too uncomfortable for me to say no, even though part of me was saying no.
Yeah. I've thought about that for a moment too. I thought, well, that's fascinating, because you were like, I'm so in support and let's do it. And then as soon as I said no, you're like, oh, thank God. So just for those of you, for a little bit of context, I think it's worth saying, like, I am already enrolled in a continuing education program through the Polyvagal Institute. And I was about to say yes to a longer program through the Polyvagal Institute that started at exactly the same time. And Anne is already also enrolled in a licensure program that starts at the same time. So it's not like we're sitting around twiddling our thumbs with nothing to do. Anyway, maybe some of you folks out there who are listening can relate. And I want to just drive us into this conversation. I know you have a lot to say. And as our resident expert of curriculum design, I'm really excited to have this conversation. Why your one-on-one clients need curriculum design. Take us there.
Oh, yes. This is something that is just so close to my heart. I'm very passionate about. And it's this idea that as educators, no matter what you do, what you teach, or as a coach, no matter what you coach, when we show up for a person in person or in a live container that's on one-on-one, particularly when you step into that level of being, an expert and personalizing the experience to each person and that's part of your draw, right? You're not just putting everybody through the same program. You personalize the experience to the person's goals, to their desires, to what they want. But again, that can have a limiting effect, a low ceiling effect in multiple different ways. And I want to just zero in on one. So one of the things that we find is so important is when we personalize so much, some of the challenges is that we can lose ourselves in the forest, right?
Yeah.
and not continue to see the trees. And so when you've designed a curriculum, whether many times you can think of designing a transformative curriculum where you're really taking somebody from place A to place L. I'm just sort of thinking along the alphabet, or you could think along a number line, or however you use your mental imagery, and really supporting that person getting from one particular point to another. And again, when we've been working with people for so long, really personalizing and nuancing the work for them, the challenge is that we end up, sometimes losing that overarching goal that we want for people. So that's one reason why your curriculum and how curriculum is so supportive for a one-on-one experience. Another reason is because once the reality is like, we're only human, right? So the curriculum supports you, the educator, and it supports the client, right? Whether that's a coaching client or whoever it is you're working with, because it allows because people are learners, right? People want to know, and people are motivated to know where they are along the process in the journey. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think that's one of the things that I think in my own experience with various providers, like receiving it, has been a frustration for me, but I never really had words to say it. Because I'm always the type of person like, well, once I start something, I kind of want to learn more about the thing that I'm doing, or I want to know what the person is doing but then sometimes there's this tension about, well, you don't know, just receive it. But I'm like, for me, I feel safer when I know what's going on. And I love, and I'm so motivated to know, where am I along this process? Like, it excites me and it keeps me going. So just as a person who's received a lot of services over my life in one-on-one contexts, that's one thing that I really enjoy.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, it's frustrating to me because it's almost like I was seeing a PT at Kaiser recently, and it's like she's not holding the whole at all, and also it's like, I want them to advocate for me to be able to continue to heal myself. And I feel frustrated sometimes that, like, in one-on-one contexts, there is an underlying contracting that's implicit, not explicit, that I'm here for you to do something to me, but I don't want that. I'm like you. I want to learn, so not just so I feel safer, but so I can advocate for myself and I can continue to be effective on my own. And I feel like if you're a coach or an educator and you're not holding space for that in your job, it's a little selfish. Honestly, like, giving it, holding the bigger vision and saying, here's how you can support yourself and not rely on me forever. Maybe I'm getting off on a tangent, but there is this interesting implied contracting that happens, I think, from the provider end. That's like, well, that's not important. And so all I have to do is make the person feel good and do something good for them in the moment. But that doesn't feel really supportive ultimately of somebody's transformation.
I feel like it's a little infantilizing. It's like, yeah, just come here and feel good for the moment. And it's like,
yeah,
but that's not health. And I think a lot of coaching is around supporting people's health, whether that's health in the workplace, whether that's physical health. A lot of times it's really bringing people to a greater sense of well-being. So I'd love to dive into another aspect of why curriculum can be so supportive for you and your clients. And then we're going to dive into some examples for you after this. So one other way that we have found over time, like why curriculum is so supportive for one-on-one clients, is because it really tamps down all of the nitty-gritty administrative work that you have to do. So if you immediately have a curriculum where somebody comes and they enter into essentially a stream of learning with you, and then they receive your services on top of it, they're going to fill out their intake form, right? They're going to watch a welcome video from you. They're going to learn a little bit about your credentials, if that matters to them. Some people say it doesn't, but by goodness, some people it does. People it does really matter. And you want to be able to say, oh yeah, well, when I studied this, I learned a lot about this, and this is how this can help you, right? And it's going to be more general, but think how much time you'll save as a practitioner if your student or your client or your coachee already understands your philosophy, right? And that goes beyond just your mission statement on your website, right? It's more integrated. Now, we know not everybody is going to do this or launch into this, but absolutely some people will, and their outcomes with working with you will be far beyond either in speed or in depth than just them showing up for you, hour after hour. Another place we see this be incredibly supportive is, again, no matter how many hours you work with someone a week, even if you're working with them daily, there's 24 hours more in a day, right? And most likely the behavioral change that you want to see in them requires that they do some practices at home, whether that's something like nervous system work, such as 3 breaths, or whether that's, hey, get down on the floor and do some exercises or movements, or whether that's money-related things like once you get off this call, go check things on your bank account or whatever, however you support your people, right? And so this is a good example to show. So instead of you having to go ahead and resend another personalized email to someone reminding them, or record something on your phone, or, like draw a stick figure, can go really far back, however long you've been, whether if you've been working pre-internet or pre-mobile world, at least, that ability to support your students on the go, and your coachees is just so important. And then the final piece too is when the person is done working with you, right? Like, how do you know they're done? Like, what are the assessments? Is there a next step for them? And have you met their needs? And what else might their needs be? So that's just a great just touch point. The final piece, which I'll just say is really important, is when you create an online curriculum, it can also allow your one-on-one clients to get to know each other and have a community between themselves, because they've all essentially bought into your work, how you work. They appreciate it without you necessarily having to have an open house, or without you necessarily the people only who, pass each other in the hallway and sort of nod a little bit, right? Or they never see each other because you just work online on Zoom. So there's a lot of sort of ways in which how curriculum can support you, even if you are only interested in working with clients one-on-one.
Yeah, this is so great. I have so many ideas, but I want to get something really quickly. And for those of you who are just listening and not watching, you won't be able to see this. But what it reminds me of is our tensegrity model. And I'm holding this little wooden kid's toy. It has all of these short wooden trusses or sticks with balls. You can hear that. They're moving along the wooden sticks, and it's connected by, the end points are connected by elastic. And it's this very malleable, resilient structure that you can push on and flatten and move. But if I pull on one space or push on it, the entire shape transduces, it changes, right? And really what this is reflective of is force being spread out in all directions. And this is what I think about if you go back to the very first thing you said, Anne, about like taking your clients on a learning journey or having a learning experience. We sometimes also talk about it as the transformation journey. And I think this is a big piece of what's missing, that curriculum design, particularly embodied curriculum design, which is what we teach. So not just from a brain-based perspective, but from a body perspective, working with the nervous system and other embodied approaches, is you take an experience that is typically very flat and you give it substance and you create an opportunity for it to be very rich, very lucrative, very generative, and very malleable. So it's not just the moment that the client is with you, but it's the way you make them feel psychologically safe leading up to the moment, the way you prime their thinking for leading up to the moment, the way you prime their nervous system potentially leading up to the moment of interaction. And then the moment of interaction becomes just one piece in this beautiful dance that is incredibly poignant, like, and really gets people to grow, like in a multidimensional way. So that's what I was thinking is so potent about the curriculum design, because it gives you like a framework to hold all of that. And then however you're servicing your client, the curriculum is the foundation. It's the base, right? So you're not guessing and you're not losing track. You're like, it becomes the ladder, or I think foundation is probably a better word, but I just have found it to be one of the most powerful tools I have ever employed, really, in all aspects of my work.
Yeah. And we'll just lean into a few examples of how we've done this over time. So Chantill and I have been in a couple of different client-centered spheres within our careers. So one of which I'll start here, which is with owning a Pilates studio. So offering people within the studio, once they signed up, that they would understand, like, oh, well, how do you do breath? Like, what does that mean? Here's our foundational library where you can understand the foundations. Did everybody access that? No. Did our clients who got the best results access it? Usually, right? So, you have to just, go really support the people who are nerdy or who do find that interesting. And what you'll find is your culture will shift over time. Mm-hmm. If that is something that feels new or, people don't want that. I just kind of think I think a lot of people want to learn, and that people who have had health challenges and are frustrated, man, they will do anything within reason. If they really want to get better, they're going to do the things. And then you can also support people who maybe can't make it in to your place easily. It might be hard. I used to have a location that was located upstairs and people could only come when the elevator was working, and the elevator would only work at certain times. So, hey, we can't get you in today at the time the elevator is working. You can still practice your breath at home, right? So it goes in multiple directions. It's not just for the type A's. It's also for people who might be harder for them to access you, right? And that's the beauty of really designing a curriculum. Curriculum can, again, very easily live online. It can also, of course, live in a binder, like old school distance learning. Okay, so, it goes across all of it. So that's one of the ways in which we have done that. And then within, Chantill and I now support people with brain-based coaching, which is private coaching for, kind of falls under the concept of executive coaching. So we tend to lean into supporting entrepreneurs and things like that, or leaders. But one of the things that we find is a lot of times we'll use various worksheets to support our people. They have their own homework. And I'm keep noodling on, I don't really want to email them worksheets anymore. Let's really create that online portal for them so that they can have all the access that they need. For them. And Chantill and I have also received private coaching where there is curriculum there for us to access on our own. So no matter what field you're in, having that curriculum, not just a vault, not just a video library, where you're really supporting people in solving problems, because that's, curriculum is that's a big way that curriculum can support service providers is through solving people's problems. Is a wonderful way in which curriculum can support your one-on-one business model.
Yeah, so we're going to continue this conversation in episode 33. And before we go, we want to tell you about an opportunity that's coming up in mid to late January. We start January 19th, and we have reshaped our flagship program, the Embodied Course Creation Program, and we're now offering it in 2 parts. And in part 1, we're really focused on curriculum design for engagement and motivation. It's an 8-week program, and we take you through ideation to design, to really helping you to lean into integrating more embodiment and nervous system focus work to uplift the level of transformation and behavior change your clients get. And then part 2 really focuses on marketing, sales, and pricing. And we're really excited to kind of tease those 2 components out because we think it's going to be much more poignant. So if you are interested, we will have a link in our show notes in the link tree where you can schedule a call with us. And when you schedule a call, it'll be an ECC catalyzed call. So when you schedule that call with us and you tell us that you heard about it on the podcast, we're going to extend some very, very special pricing for you. So make sure that you check out the link in the show notes, or you can find the link in our IG account, our Facebook, and just make sure that when you schedule your call, you let us know that you heard about it on the podcast, and we'll share that special opportunity with you. Okay, thanks a lot, Anne, and I'll see you on the next go round.